Welcome back to yet another very special episode of Queer Gals Watch. We're going to go to the movies again, Leigh.
We are. Yeah. We're going to go back to our favourite year, 1999.
Where the world was safe. We think we need another break from the kind of worries and woes of the modern day.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do is to grab a friend.
Yeah.
And go to the movies.
Yeah, we're very excited. We're very excited to be here. Especially, we're very excited to be here to discuss a young Reese, which I'm thrilled about.
A young Miss Witherspoon, yeah.
A young Miss Witherspoon. But we're also very excited to be here with our gorgeous friend Christopher Hall today. You may know Chris from fab viral cat videos, from his stand-up, as your favourite backup singer, or indeed from his own podcast, Stay Hydrated.
Hello. Gosh, that's such a long list. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, gals. I'm very, very excited to be here. I love that we've all brought our laptops.
It's very women in business.
Infinitely more professional than my podcast, I have to say. Leaps and bounds. No, but we love the office vibe, love the prep that we've all done for this recap.
I think the most respectful thing that we can do when discussing Reese Witherspoon is to come prepared.
Exactly.
Ultimately.
Yeah, and to really channel her character in a way in this film.
That we're giving very Tracy Flick energy.
Yes, we are talking about the 1999 classic starring Reese Witherspoon and Mr. Sarah Jessica Parker, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Election.
Wow.
What a film.
Nuts film.
I knew nothing.
No.
So you're going in blind.
Yeah.
Chris, this was your suggestion.
My
what made you
suggestion.
suggest it?
It as soon as you said politically-esque leaning anything, like film or anything.
Yeah.
It just honestly resurfaced in my mind. Like when you shake a magic 8-ball, it just like came up to the surface of my mind. And I remember videotaping this off the TV.
Oh.
Like when you'd go through the newspaper
that's
and you
really, really moving.
Isn't it cute? And again, must have been the early 2000s. Probably very early 2000s for like videotaping off the TV. And obviously at that age I was already obsessed with gorgeous movie stars.
Yeah.
And I just saw the word Reese Witherspoon and was like, oh, I'll love it. I think Legally Blonde must have come out. Because Legally Blonde was probably my gateway to Reese. Which I'm going to say was maybe 2001.
It was 2001.
I'm going to say...
Okay, now.
Tracy Flick walked so that Elwoods can run.
Truly. Yeah. And they really must have... it's interesting to see it the precursor to Legally Blonde.
She's Elwood's dark angel.
Yeah. Does the angry face for our not our visual watchers? I'm scrunching up my mouth and flaring my nose as much as I can. She does an angry strop so well.
She really does.
I would love to see her do Unhinged more often. I feel like she's so like sweet Southern girl next door in so many of her roles. That's been like her typecasting. But she does insane so well.
Yeah, because she does like high drama incredibly.
High drama and like stressed rich white woman.
Yeah. Leaning in doorways and just being like, oh, these kids.
Yeah. And like Big Little Lies and like Small Fires Everywhere. She's like
The Morning Show.
Stressy woman. But she's not.
She's real.
Unhinged and stroppy. Yeah.
Whereas I want her to be crazy. Because I feel like we did this. We did Election. We did Legally Blonde. We did like Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, and then when was Cruel Intentions?
Oh yeah. Oh,
maybe around was Cruel Intentions maybe her first?
No, she was like a child actor. There was a film she was in when she was like 12.
Yes. But Cruel Intentions might have been 98.
1999, same year.
Whoa, what year for Reese?
Big year. But I think maybe Cruel Intentions maybe I remember thinking like, who knows this film? And I definitely remember being far too young to actually be watching.
I was going to say little baby Chris, traumatized.
As soon as we get the
her
pussy's so wet line, I remember being like 10 and being like, all right.
Okay.
Now.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we've raised the.
Sorry, I literally maybe have jumped forward a little bit.
No, but it's great.
Sorry for the jump
us to
scare.
raise just the Her Pussy's So Wet early doors because there will be some discussion
because that really sets the tone for this isn't like a fun teen movie. This is like a kind of dark,
This is quite heavy.
Quite
heavy
alarming
teen movie.
in
Yeah.
many ways,
Yeah.
I would say.
A little bit like Jawbreaker, when you think it's just going to be a regular teen film and then they've killed their friend.
Yeah.
Have you seen Jawbreaker?
No.
So Rose McGowan,
Love Rose McGowan.
Marsha Gay Cross, that might be wrong, and Julie Benz,
Mhm.
who's Darla in Buffy,
Ah.
on a birthday prank, kidnapped their friend, put a jawbreaker in her mouth, and put tape over her mouth
And
as a birthday prank, and then they end up killing her. So in the first 10 minutes, you're like, haha, teen movie, and then
Oh my
they're
God,
like,
what
then
did
it's
they do?
like, we've killed our friend. So it's like dark,
Yeah.
dark funny.
I feel like these films only happened in the 90s. I feel like that would just never make it
Ring.
past a producer now. Do you know what I mean? They'd be
Ring.
like, no, it's going to harm the youth.
I know. Bring back the 90s.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things, but for
Some
a lot of
things.
things. Bring
Yeah.
them back.
Yeah.
So we were chatting in another one of these episodes about the fact that people don't make films for teen girls anymore.
They don't make them for the girlies.
For the
No.
girlies,
Mm.
all inclusive.
No, yeah.
It's just like,
Almost also with the intention of them being cult.
for
Yes.
sure.
Like,
Yes.
this is good. Like, we're going to try it. It's a flop. No worries. In a year's time, it'll be cult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. 100%.
It seems like between 1998 and 2006, like there was like 3 or 4 movies a year coming out
Yes.
that were like
Yeah.
big group casts of like amazing, like sexy young actors and like barely their plot lines,
Mm.
incredible soundtracks, incredible aesthetics.
Mhm.
And they were like, we're going to throw it out to the cinemas. There's not been a huge budget.
No.
Mm.
We're filming it in a school most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that doesn't happen now. And like, I don't think it happened even when we were like 17 or 18. Those films didn't exist.
No. We grew up in a dark age for the rom-com, I have to say.
Yeah.
So how old were you when Mean Girls came out?
9.
Okay.
So 10.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was about 12, 13. So
Yeah.
that felt like
The last
I'd come home.
gasping breath.
That felt like I'd come home to Jesus
Yeah.
when that came out.
Tina Fey just being like, you're safe.
You're safe. This is for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you, chomp. Yeah.
Mhm.
Received.
Something I was noticing is how you're saying set in high school. Like, why is an American high school like so tangible as a backdrop?
Mhm.
It's
I was
just,
like, it just wouldn't happen in an English school. Like, it just wouldn't have the same
do you know what it is? I think it is.
stuff.
One of the major components of genre, just to bring it back to our degree for a moment, one of the main components of genre is iconography. And an American high school just has so much
Mm.
more iconography
Yeah.
than like a British or Irish school.
Yeah.
And I think that's why. I think that's why it's like its own genre in and of itself, like the high school movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you,
The hallway, it's just
hallway,
such a
the
generic hallway, but
lockers.
it has so much power.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh,
Really odd. Well,
When
not
I
odd,
moved-
really
Yeah.
interesting to like note.
When I moved to America, like the number one question that I would get from kids when I would come back to Ireland would be like, do you have a locker? I was like, why is that the most exciting
No,
thing?
truly. Yeah. Do you have a locker? Do you have like the exercise book that's like black and white, kind of like
yeah.
mottled
Composition
effect?
book.
Yeah.
like,
Do
do
you-
you like stickers
cheerleaders?
and stuff on
Yeah.
the inside of your locker, like a little mirror? You get to wear your own clothes. I feel like that's such a big thing.
Truly. And there's so many there's like the cheerleader, then there's like the sports people who wear their like sports
Yeah.
like jerseys around. Whereas like
Yeah.
in England, I think we were just like, you can't wear your sports kit. Like,
yeah.
go and put
Are you wearing trainers? No.
yeah, go and
put
put
your
your
school shoes on.
yeah.
The archetypes in American high schools are so much more like
Defined.
whereas in like UK, you kind of just had like
Just
everyone
everyone.
was
Occasionally
just
someone in
everyone was
trackies
struggling.
because they've got like they're in the rugby team and they're
Yeah.
leaving at lunch.
Yeah, and everyone would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're wearing trackies. And they're like, yeah, I'm leaving at lunch.
Yeah.
And that's as exciting as it got.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us the internet synopsis of the
I'm
film?
going to tell you the internet's description of this film. Tracy runs unopposed for her high school election. However, the school's civics teacher has a different plan, and so he tells the varsity's popular football player to run for president, and chaos follows.
I have to say, I read this film entirely differently. I think that this is an exploration of teenage female rage
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the democratic process, which I would never have put together
Mhm.
as a dueling kind of theme.
Yeah, I also feel like this is a film written by men through the eyes of men for young people about how men are awful.
Mm.
Like, halfway through, I was like, sorry, Leigh.
Also, I nodded, and
Yeah.
I'm on a podcast, so don't worry. I caught myself as well going,
Because I was like,
silently
so
nodding.
Matthew Broderick's character, Mr. M, is like kind of a piece of shit. And I was like, he's fucking getting away with this for the first half of the film. And then he does get his comeuppance. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, apart from Sweet Paul, the football player, most of the men in this film just aren't happy or successful.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah.
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 And it's the twists that it takes you on, you don't actually see them coming,
No.
and you don't actually know who's going to sort of outwin in the end, really.
It did keep surprising me. It doesn't feel like a formulaic film on any level. I did not foresee the entrance of Tammy and lesbianism into this film, because her kind of plot line doesn't really even arrive in the film until like 25 minutes in. And I was like, oh, I did not realize we were going to get 90s lesbians in this movie.
Yeah. It's kind of wild. Like, but the synopsis online obviously is just kind of like very broad brushstrokes. But it is just a very simple story, which is Reese Witherspoon is Tracy Flick, this kind of school loser, but who weirdly everyone kind of respects.
Yeah, she's not
disliked
bullied or anything.
Everyone's
she's not
just like, oh, that's just Tracy.
Yeah. She doesn't not get her signatures to run for election.
People are like, Tracy's intense.
Yeah.
Tracy's got a lot.
People are just kind of like politely confused by her.
Yeah, which is a really lovely character. She wants to be like school committee president. And her civics teacher, Matthew Broderick, basically is like, she's a bad person. And here's where we get weird.
But he doesn't want her to win because they'll have to spend a lot of time together.
Yes.
And he's just like, you're annoying.
And also,
as someone who's taught kids before, I get it.
Okay. That's okay.
I do get it.
He's also concerned.
I do get it. If you're yuck. Okay. Not yuck. You're just like, poor, like, some kids do rub you the wrong way.
True.
And there's some, when you're a teacher, there's some kids that you're like, actually, you're kind of cool.
And actually, it would be really fun for you to be the president of this thing.
Yeah, only because I have to spend so much time with you. And then some kids can just be like, I wouldn't mind if you
maybe
were absent today.
Yeah.
I think he's also worried about being in proximity to her, though, because of the kind of swirling rumors around
her bedding older men.
Yes, so we've already seen Tracy engage in an affair with a married teacher.
It's a deeply uncomfortable part of the film because the film is really funny and it is really dark and it is really like a wonderful lens into like middle of nowhere America.
Yeah, I kept saying to Elizabeth, I was like, look at the surroundings and it's just empty. It's just empty, like wide open roads, wide open sky.
There's nothing.
Very beautiful in summer, I can imagine, but not
otherwise
like
grim.
Not huge amounts of like activity. So like I feel in those places, in that situation, people would start not to excuse it, but like you do start almost finding your own drama.
Yeah, because the world is very small.
Mm-hmm.
So Tracy is a bit of a kind of outlier in society and kind of gets befriended by a male teacher who, let's say, is 40.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And I think
late 30s, 40s. Has a small child. So
has a baby.
Like in the 90s, so actually might be 30s.
Might be in 30s. And he does the classic kind of, you're very special, Tracy.
Yeah.
And then they have an affair.
I would love to unpack the line. I have the line written down where he makes his move because I find it incredibly disturbing. Tracy, you know I've been watching you for going on 3 years now, and I think you are one of the most talented, hardworking, sensitive, attractive, brilliant students. No, human beings I have ever met. And I know sometimes people like you have to pay a price for their greatness. And that price is loneliness. I don't know, I might be wrong, but it seems like you might need a friend. Now, speaking as two earth sign girlies.
Yes.
If a male teacher, I'm a lesbian, fully. If a male teacher had said that to me in a vulnerable moment when I was like 16, it would have ended me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also
without even having to be attracted to him.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a poem. It's a
Mhm.
magical poem. He's just
It's prepared.
yeah.
He also knows who he's speaking to, which is the most intense teenage girl who's ever lived, because he says the price for their greatness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I have paid a price for my greatness.
Yes. It is tough for me to be here, you know? And so then they engage in this affair. Matthew Broderick finds out about his friend Dave. And
His main issue seems to be that they slept with each other in his house.
In
and
Dave's
I'm like, that's
house.
not the key issue here.
Yeah.
The key issue is that he's sleeping with a student.
Period,
and
yeah.
we haven't at this point found out what age she is. I'm assuming she's a high school senior.
She's junior because then she's
Yeah.
I think they get elected at the end of junior year for senior year.
Right. So that makes her
17.
Mm-hmm.
He's been watching her for 3 years since she was
A
14.
freshman.
Which
and
is
that's
tough.
what I don't like.
Yeah.
Uh,
They also make out in the like photography studio, which again is something so American
like in
high
the
school.
dark room.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I could see that being the most exciting moment of her life
Yeah.
thus
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
But he is a grown man.
Mhm.
And then he describes to his friend, who is also her teacher, one of the greatest things about her is that her pussy is so wet. Good for,
Well, he didn't want to repeat the long, big, attractive, sensitive, brilliant price for greatness speech to his friend. Like he wants to like come off cool to his homeboy, you know.
Yeah. Boys gonna be boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's happened.
Mhm.
And then Dave, the teacher, is found out for having the affair
Yeah.
and rightfully fired.
Fired.
And his
Divorced.
wife Linda is like, you can jog on.
Mhm.
Respectfully, as she's got his baby in her
Mhm.
arms. And he is like, I'm in love with Tracy Flick.
Yeah. Don't know how that's. I don't know if we believe that. Intoxicated, infatuated.
Yeah, he's obsessed.
Yeah,
I
obsessed.
think there's some obsession
Mhm.
going on there. Yeah, he does say that Tracy's gonna read his novel, and his wife Linda never said that she would. Linda's like, you haven't even written the novel.
The
And-
novel that doesn't exist.
and he's like, but I have all the ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a real man.
It's a man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a man
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in the aftermath of this. And poor Tracy's just like getting on with her life.
Yeah. Running for election.
But the
or
only
wanting to.
kind of the only person aside from the headmaster who knows that she's got this quote unquote scarlet letter is Matthew Broderick's character.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love this film, but it's so problematic, but I also just still love it.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Which I think a lot of films were in the 90s. They were
Yeah.
like, this is a film about like shitty people doing awful stuff, but
Yeah.
we're going to make it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Mr. SJP is painting Tracy as a villain, but the film doesn't.
No, that's okay. You're so
Mm.
smart.
Thank you.
You're so smart because that's exactly what it is. And actually, he's the villain and he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lee. Wow.
It's good.
Did you get a first at university?
I did actually. I came first in my year,
You
actually.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it louder.
Yeah.
It's done me absolutely no help.
We've done.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Just debt. Okay. So we've got into the thick of it with the kind of
Mm-hmm.
upsetting storyline.
Mm-hmm.
What I would love to discuss now is some of the characters that we meet. So we've briefly touched on Paul, the football player who's running against Tracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had suffered a skiing injury and is not able to play football. So like, is like, what do I do now when
Yeah.
I
What does the champion quarterback
do.
now. Yeah, if he's got a broken leg.
The kind of the true, like, I guess, like, kind of go girl energy character of this entire film. Like, he's so nice to everyone.
He is such a nice character.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. And not to bring it back to quoting the film again, but I do just think his internal monologue is the internal monologue that I imagine all heterosexual men as having, specifically in his prayer to God, when he says, "Dear God, thank you for all your blessings. You've given me so many things, like good health, nice parents, a nice truck, and what I'm told is a large penis. And I'm very grateful. But I sure am worried about Tammy." This is his lesbian sister. "In my heart, I still can't believe she tore down my posters, but sometimes she does get so weird and angry. And if that isn't a heterosexual boy with a lesbian sister, I don't know what is."
Yeah.
He's so sweet to her. Like, so Paul runs for the student body president as well.
On recommendation from Matthew Broderick's character, who doesn't. So Tracy Flick has presents her signatures that have allowed her to run. She's been, what's the word when you
Nominate?
She's
No.
been
when you
nominated.
get enough, you get
and
enough
she's-
signatures to qualify. I'm thinking of like I need the political word.
I mean, it's a school election.
Yes.
We're grand.
And then Matthew Broderick basically either gets booked out because he thinks that she's going to try and sleep with him, or he just finds her annoying. He just doesn't want to spend that much time with her. He just wants to punish her
Yeah.
for
In
getting his friend fired.
mind, I think she is a sexual predator,
Yeah.
which is crazy because she's a teenage girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then on Matthew Broderick's recommendation, Paul decides, while I'm injured, I'm going to run for president for something to do for the fuck of it. But in a nice, he's not like, I'll just, but so he goes, oh yeah, there is something to do. Yeah.
And people do really like me, and I am a nice guy. And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
actually, this would be a really great thing for Paul.
Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing that some people, as a chronic overthinker and anxious girly, it was so fascinating to watch somebody think so little about something before making a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I learned from Paul
Yeah.
in this film, is just like, go with the flow
Mm,
and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
chemically, I can't.
but I loved that he was actually quite kind.
He's
He
very
was.
kind all the way through.
Mr. M describes Tracy Flick as a real go-getter when he's like saying about her to Paul, and Paul goes, and she's real nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
But then we get introduced to Tammy.
Now,
Paul knocks on his sister's door, opens it, and she's in the throes of love. Or actually,
They're
kind of
led
like a
down.
kind of,
They're led down side by side, facing each other with their faces like this far apart,
not
Just
touching each other.
just looking at each other.
If
Yeah.
that isn't a sapphic teenage experience, I don't know what is. Just like, I'm just going to stare at you for hours.
While like music's playing.
yeah.
his sister Tammy and
Lisa?
Lisa.
The greatest villain of our time.
Yes. Lisa runs out the room, having been disturbed, yells, I'm not gay, leave me alone, or to words of that effect.
She actually says through the window of her car, as Tammy's like, what the fuck is happening? She goes, I'm not a dyke and we're not in love.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
Which is tough to hear.
Oh, God.
Harrowing.
She then turns around the next day, turns up and gives Paul, Tammy's brother, running for president, a blowy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I turned up at home. No,
Yeah.
I was really
Paul's just
surprised when I
like-
gave Lisa a lift home and she ended up blowing me.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I kind of thought she was friends with Tammy, but I guess she likes me now.
Yeah.
It's great villain behavior from Lisa to be like, I'm not in love with you, Tammy. I'm just gonna sleep with your brother.
Mm.
And like ride like kind of a power trip of him running for president.
It's very Melania.
Yeah.
I will also say we then go into kind of like a flashback lesbian love montage which I think is actually now hugely important to me. Because
Tell me more about that, Leigh.
it's a more realistic depiction of like teenage lesbian love than I have seen in most cinema. And this isn't even like a lesbian film. Like this isn't even on the list of like, watch these movies with your girlfriend that has gay women in it.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't even know. It wasn't even broadcasted to me by my fellow lesbians that there are lesbians in this film. And yet there's like a montage of them on a swing. You know, it's beautiful. They're like eating asparagus together, which feels very like 2010s lesbian YouTuber challenge vibes. It feels very like online lesbian culture that was to come.
Yeah.
What I will say is one of the quotes from the montage in Tammy's voiceover over this montage is, "Every day I found a new way to tell Lisa how much I loved her. If you died right now, I would throw myself under one of my dad's cement trucks and get poured into your tomb." And again, this feels very realistic to me. Thankfully, myself and Lizzie, my gorgeous girlfriend, it's not an unrequited love situation, but I will say that doesn't feel an outlandish thing to say to
me. Just some light feelings.
Yeah, throw myself under one of my dad's cement trucks and then get poured into your tomb. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
it is poetic.
Meanwhile, Lisa, on the other hand, is with Paul, and Paul's narration is, every day we'd go to Lisa's house to fuck and have a hot tub.
Yeah. And that sounds great too, honestly.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Actually, this is not related. I don't really rate the hot tubs, but I'm sure they're enjoying it.
You know what?
That's completely unrelated to like the rest
I
of
don't like them either. It's too hot.
I also think when they say like, there's an Airbnb and there's a hot tub, it's
Who's
just
in that water?
It just isn't as fun as we think it is.
Friends of the pod, Carrie and Men and I, our friends, went to a hen do. There was a hot tub at the hen do. They did not realize until afterwards that the hot tub had not been cleaned properly before they arrived. Every single girl in that hen do broke out in like an infected rash.
It's called like hot tub rash.
Horrific. Put me off hot tubs.
Like they had
life.
to go to like they had to get like
medicated cream
ointments.
It's so grim.
Is that worth the
grim.
Prosecco?
It's
Is
not.
it?
It's not. It's not. And then we're like, where? It's like, we're not in like the Alps. We're in like an Airbnb in like Cheshire.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It just isn't as fun as we think it is.
No.
One of the
So
other
glad we put that to
kind
bed because that's really been pressing on me. It's kind of a concept.
I'm really glad that we've kind of like set our piece on that. One of the other really like important lesbian moments to me in this film is that Tammy finds the local girls' Catholic school's football team practicing,
Mhm.
and she sits watching them practice for so long that darkness descends around her. And that is, in fact, a key plot point because that's when she sees Tracy disposing of the other people's posters that she has ripped down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where Tammy steps into her power. She sees the Catholic girls' school playing football and she's like, that's where I should be.
Yeah.
Playing soccer at an all-girls school. And then she gets herself expelled from the high school that she goes to with her brother. And her parents, as a punishment, send her to Catholic girls' school.
And she's like, that is absolutely fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
she's
What I
going to flourish
deserve.
there.
She's going to flourish for sure.
Definitely.
I have more things to say about sex in this film. So obviously we've had the famous Her Pussy Gets So Wet. We've had the lesbians being in love but not touching. We've had blowies and fucking in the hot tub.
With Paul and Lisa.
With Paul and Lisa. Now I'd like to discuss like the sex that Matthew Broderick is having with the character who is his wife to procreate and the concept of fill me up.
I find it so upsetting. It really upset me. I
Fill me
also
up.
think disgruss actually to me does feel like the
It
correct
was disgust
word.
and disgust together.
Yeah.
It was disgusting and I wish to discuss it. I don't like fill me up.
I really don't like
I
it.
don't like the.
Come on, fill me up. I don't like. Yeah, I don't like it.
And
I don't.
they've been having sex for 3 to 4 minutes in Missionary,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Get it done."
Yeah. Enough. And then straight away he's off. The knees are up to the chest.
Yeah.
And the words, "Good job."
Was it a good job? Was it a job well done?
I find their marriage so depressing.
It's sad.
It's like their marriage is my worst fear.
Mm. But then is it that bad, or are we being it through Matthew Broderick's lens? Is it so boring, and that's why he then,
he has a lovely wife
runs away, plays away later
with Linda.
Is actually, it's how boring or awful is it?
I think I can't remember the name of his wife. I feel really bad about that. Diane. I think Diane's lovely. She's a qualified nurse. She's a working woman. They've got a lovely home.
I think
Kids haven't happened yet. But you know what's not happening? He's not investing in that relationship.
Yeah.
No.
He's not putting in the work.
I think
Thank God there isn't a kid in the mix because
he's too busy looking at Linda's breasts.
Yeah.
Lovely that they are. But
I think all of their marital problems would be solved if he simply asked his wife a question.
Yeah.
Just any question.
About herself, about her day, about her dreams and desires, anything. He's sleepwalking through life and he's dragging her into it. And so he's obsessed with fantasy, the fantasies around Linda and like sleeping with his friend's wife, ex-wife. Then like kind of the fantasies around like Tracy and like dominating Tracy, like being the big man that like shuts Tracy up.
Yeah. Or really tells this 17-year-old where to go.
Where to go.
Yeah.
And that, what she needs is a good fucking.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No.
I love that Tracy, kind of apart from the slightly uncomfortable affair with Dave, it's like kind of completely unsexual.
Yeah.
And actually, it's very Capricorn coded in a way because ultimately, I think what she was looking for with the affair with Dave was power.
Yeah.
And to feel seen and like
stepping into her power than it was truly about him. Although I do think he was very well cast as like somebody who looks like a nerd that you might not necessarily see, but then when you look a little bit closer, you're like, oh, is there an allure?
He's very well cast. And also he's tall.
Yeah.
And I think when you're a teenager, like tall men, you're like, I should trust you. I don't know why.
Totally. Yeah.
Like there were definitely teachers at my school where I was like, we'd be like, oh, Mr. So-and-so's like really fit. And you're like, is he fit or is he like 6'1"? And like wears suits from Moss Bros. Like, is that really what we're after?
Yes. I will also say on this point of Tracy and power, there are several lines from Tracy, Fiona, that are in fact extremely you-coded, specifically what I know of you in secondary school. As you know, with my many responsibilities, I often have to come in on the weekend.
Sorry, is that a quote from the film?
That is in fact a quote from the film.
Told you.
No.
What responsibilities did you have that brought you into school on the weekend?
I did a lot of extracurricular sport.
Okay.
I was also like kind of like my year group rep.
Nice.
From year 9 through to year 11.
Yeah. So pretty big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. Also,
I was on yearbook committee.
Yeah.
Also. And I helped organize my prom.
Nice.
I did I did public speaking. And I was the only student that did it.
So you were top of that team captain.
I forgot that.
That's okay. I did history competitions.
And
I was the only one. Yeah, I went to nationals twice.
And what happens in a history competition?
National History Day. So there was 4 categories. You could enter a documentary, an exhibit, a performance, or a paper. Boring. So obviously I would spend a whole school year outside of school researching a particular historical topic. And then I would write a 10-minute performance piece kind of embodying that historical topic. And I went to nationals twice.
And Leigh, who were you depicting?
I in one of them, I was portraying like the role of Irish immigrants in American society. So I was just playing like a kind of like generic Irish maid.
Nice.
mm, and in the other one, I was portraying Queen Elizabeth I.
Wow.
This feels like the right casting. Sure.
The
I
big
just
guns.
love the idea of you going into like your living room at home and being like, Mom, Dad, I think I found it.
Yeah.
This year, Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah.
I've got some notes. If we can all just sit down and I'll have some feedback at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
And this year, we're going all the way to nationals.
we're going to nationals, baby.
There's something about that quote about having the heart and stomach of a man that I was like, this feels correct. This feels me.
Yes.
That's kind of amazing. That's very Tracy of you.
But the other one that's very you is you better just take the whole thing down and redo it, which is very Fiona Kingwell coded.
Oh, yeah, like on a weekly basis.
No, absolutely. You're like, Fee is somebody she's like taking handwritten notes
Mhm.
and she has any kind of spelling error. She has to start the whole page over and rip that page out of the notebook because it's not perfect.
Fine.
Yeah. Like revision.
Make it
like
nice.
cue cards and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make it good.
I
Make it
dropped
nice.
some money in W.H. Smith, you know?
And as you should, if we lose W.H. Smith, the British High Street is fucked.
It's truly dead.
Yeah. So let's keep it alive.
Yeah.
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 Me and my cue cards.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Do you know what? Like, there's a world in which I could be upset about you saying that, like, I have a very Tracy Flick attitude, but actually, one, it's nothing but correct, and two, I'll take it as nothing but a compliment to be considered anything like a young Reese Witherspoon.
And ultimately,
In
where did
energy.
Tracy end up? Tracy ended up on top. She ended up in Washington, D.C.
Mm.
As like a part of the staff of a Congress person, I
believe
think.
so.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
where was Mr. M throwing a milkshake at her car?
Yeah. Embarrassing. Hugely embarrassing.
Truly embarrassing.
Do we have anything else we feel we would like to touch on before we head into our quick fires?
Oh, Tammy's dancing
Yes.
in her bedroom
Yes.
is. I love that she's kind of moving with reckless abandon, but she is.
It's girlhood.
It was a tough
Tough watch.
tough kind of sort of jig that, but I also was like actually fine, and then it led into a really nice because Tammy is ends up running as like a third party.
Yeah. As like a hate nominee
campaign.
Yeah.
To sort of get back at Paul and Lisa, and then Paul comes to her door and just goes, "Hey Tammy, I just want you to know, why you run it. Whoever wins, brother or sister, doesn't matter. And I would love to know why you're running, but I respect your privacy." And it's like such a nice scene. I think Chris Klein does this character so well.
He's such a lovable oaf.
Yeah.
And it's such a really great performance. Like he has so many little speeches.
Yeah.
And the thing is like a lesser actor would have played them for laughs. But he plays it so seriously and so earnestly that you can't help but love him. You're like, because he's not playing an idiot.
Yeah.
He's playing that Paul's like, I think I'm a pretty smart guy.
Yeah. He's not
that's-
doing it for as a hack. He's really delivering like just golden retriever.
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah. No, fully.
I feel like I had a really nice quote. Yeah, it's when he comes to the door after she's been dancing and he's like saying all that stuff, and then he's like, we're brother and sister. I know you're adopted. And I was like,
Yeah, they really dropped that in actually.
and
yeah.
then never returned to it.
Yeah.
I mean, would we like to touch on the most disturbing part of the film, which is Matthew Broderick's kind of getting ready montage for his evening in the motel with Linda?
I would really like to discuss Matthew Broderick showering and washing generally in this film. He showers twice at the high school
Yeah.
in
Which I
like the
don't
open
like.
gyms, which I find weird.
True. Yeah, I understand. If he was cycling to work, I get
Yeah.
it.
Because
Is
he's,
that fair? Cycle
yeah.
to work,
Mm-hmm.
shower, get ready.
Mm-hmm.
but it
Do you
just
understand?
in my head, I'm like,
What if the kids come in?
Mm.
Surely, please, there's a
A lock on
teacher
the door.
lock at chock. There must be a teacher
locker
changing room.
because it feels like he's very much like in the kind of generic.
Because where do
change
they
rooms.
change when they teach sport? They must do.
They must do. There's got to be. Let's hope that's what's going on. So he gets this hotel room to meet. He and Linda share a passionate kiss. And then he's like, let's get a hotel room. Very
Do
forward.
they not shag?
They
in
shag.
The
Oh no,
morning?
they shag in the morning and on
But
On
do
her
they?
living room floor.
on the living room floor. I think they do because
It's implied.
then he comes to school and he's like, I could smell Linda all over me all day.
Yeah. So this is the ex-wife of his friend who'd had the affair with Tracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The predator.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are now, because they've gotten closer. Over the
She's
time.
needed a man about the house sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, also she's a vulnerable single mother who, you know, has needs ultimately. And he is, I think, thinks he's the love of her life. I think he is, in fact, just a man who happens to be there.
Be there.
He
Thanks for
thinks he's
being
the one
here.
to. He thinks he's the one to save her. He thinks she needs saving, and I think Linda sleeps with him in the morning, and through the day, while he's like, "I'm in love with Linda," I think she's like, "Oh,
This is
I don't
bad.
need saving. Actually, I've made a huge mistake, and the next thing I need to do is go and see Diane."
And what I love is that sisterhood wins out. Diane is not mad at Linda. Linda's like, you know what? You're having a tough time. I get it. You had a momentary slip up. Who we're both mad at is my husband.
Yeah.
That is nice because so often it's like someone has to be the Scarlet Woman, and actually Diane and Linda are like, we're close. We're closer than you are to my husband, and I am to my husband.
Right.
Let's kick him out. But what Matthew Broderick is doing in the time that Diane and Linda are having this really intense kind of emotional moment of clarity is he's hiring a hotel room, getting a bottle of champagne and some flowers, and then he crouches in the motel bath and kind of is like splashing water at his privates.
Yeah.
Fair play to Matthew Broderick at the end of the day. Fair play.
Reading that on the script and being like, and I'm crouching and I'm just sort of
And I'm going to fully commit to that for
Yeah.
comedic effect.
Yeah. I have often crouched in the shower to prepare for intercourse that I would particularly be engaging in.
sweet. Yeah,
that
sure.
you two wouldn't be
Perhaps,
your first
yeah.
priority.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
for the sex I have, you kind of end up crouching down,
It was a
making sure
real,
everything's good to go.
Ready.
a real window into men for me, which is not, you know,
Yeah.
a huge part
Although
of.
I don't know whether I'm glad he's making sure it's clean and ready down there. Yeah, he obviously. I don't expect Linda to be pegging
Well,
him.
That does.
But I love the idea that that's
That
what
was-
he's expecting.
Yeah, he's like, whoa, we're going past first, second, third, and fourth base, and we're going to level 2.
I personally, I'm going to think of that narrative now in my head from now on, which is a lot of the thrill and allure around Linda for him is that she may be the woman to peg him and his wife won't.
I mean, Linda is maybe a top, and in all honesty, she's kind of giving top energy.
She's a tall woman. She's taller than him.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, and she has massive breasts. Not that that makes her a top, but Linda's breasts are phenomenal. She's just recently had a child.
Moving swiftly on. Shall we to our quick fires?
Yes.
Best
So
fashion in this film for you, Christopher?
Well, just 90s fashion in general,
Yeah.
I think is top tier.
Mm-hmm.
We've mentioned the jeans
Mm-hmm.
on everyone.
Mm-hmm. The
Quite
jeans
a
are
lot.
really the mom jeans on Linda and Diane,
Amazing.
especially.
like tight on the waist and then like on the ass, but then like perfect straight leg.
it's
Yeah.
a classic 501.
Really great
Mhm.
Levi's. And then on the teenagers, like Tammy has some rockin' jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not at full low rise.
No.
No.
We're a mid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're dropping off at the hips still because like things are still a little oversized and not overly tight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just a little flare.
Chris Klein's wide leg, big baggy jeans are nice as well.
Yes.
He's styled so well.
He's the best dressed high school boy ever seen.
And I think in every scene he's wearing jeans, a plain t-shirt, and a plain jumper of different kind of bland colours of like grey, cream, and blue.
But
Yeah.
always good shoes. Always good shoes.
A good
which
trainer, a New Balance.
is
I think.
almost kind of unrealistic for teenage boys, but fine.
Yeah.
I would also I would also like to give a shout out to Linda's jumpers, especially. Linda has some great jumpers.
pullovers. I think Tracy's kind of done dirty in this film because they put her in a lot of quite like dowdy outfits.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's a 50% hit rate, which is she'll be wearing like this gorgeous little plaid skirt and like a grey tight and then like a little Mary Jane. Perfect. And then on the top, she's wearing this like shapeless, horrible sweater vest. But like not so shapeless that it's chic. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Or she'll wear like this really great like little like button-up cardi, but then with like some horrible slacks. Why they don't let her win?
Slacks. Yeah. And would she realistically be like, kind of have? Maybe she really would just be like, I'm not worried about fashion, or I'm not worried about what I put on my body at all. I'm just worried about the task at hand.
I think she's dressed like the female politicians of that time, because I think the female politicians of that time were forced to kind of dress a bit dowdy. We were not yet in a kind of AOC era where female politicians are just kind of allowed to be as hot as they are, you know? Also, cannot believe we've gotten this far without mentioning Tracy's mum. Tracy's mum's fashion and hair throughout is really iconic.
Yeah, as a sort of there but not there character as well. Tracy's mum's, again, walked so Amy Poehler could run in Mean Girls.
Yeah. Definitely.
Queerest moment that never intended to be queer, besides Matthew Broderick's shower.
I think Paul getting to the ballot box and then ending up not voting for himself because he actually doesn't sort of back himself that much, or thinks it's actually nicer to sort of share vote for the other person.
I think he's like,
if that's not like somebody actually not feeling good enough to put himself first, which I think every queer person can relate to. I was like, that's where it is.
Just him in that ballot box being like, I think Tracy would just do a better job. I think she wants this more.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's the physical manifestation of no worries if not.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the sexual tension that develops between Tracy and Tammy over the course of the film, because there's a moment where Tracy is about to get caught for pulling down everybody else's posters in a moment of rage because her poster was not perfect. And Tammy, having seen her, having the evidence that it was in fact Tracy, Tammy takes the blow. I shouldn't say it that way. Tammy admits to a crime that she did not commit.
She takes the rap for it, yeah.
And
it's just eye contact as they walk past each other on the way out.
Yeah. I truly believe that in her adult life, Tracy goes on to become a bicon.
Yeah. I would love that. I think college would have been a really big moment for her.
Yeah.
Like she would have done like a women's studies
seminar
and been like, women are pretty cool and maybe I don't have to be like pitting myself against them. She gets some female friends.
Yeah.
She joins some clubs, some societies.
I'm choosing to believe that there was a Christmas where Tammy and Tracy both came back from college and one thing led to another.
They met in the local bar. And they were like, oh my God, Tammy, you went to the Catholic school. How was that? And Tammy was like, it was great.
Yeah.
It was really
super
great.
Gay now.
Yeah, super gay now. And Tracy's like, not out, but is like, oh, can I buy you a beer?
Yeah.
And then they're on the football field. The scene of the crime.
Whoa.
They go back. They're lying under the stars.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another. Someone's getting fingered. Okay, I'm so glad that we've played that through.
Yeah.
I just put that mine was kind of all Tracy's sweater vests. Just again, it's like it's
the Chandler Bing of it all. Like,
who is a lesbian icon? Man, I feel like a man. Just what struck, a moment where you're like, man.
Masculinity.
A quote maybe we actually haven't. Oh, it is here, but it's one of your highlighted. But when at the sort of election rally when they all do their speeches, and Tammy kind of causes an uprising and a rebellion amongst all the students, and kind of disassembles the whole structure of the election in her speech. They walk back into the office, Matthew Broderick, the head teacher and the deputy or the vice principal. And the principal just goes, I tell you, that little bitch made a fool out of us. And like, just bravo to all the 40 and above year old men calling their students little bitches. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And hey, if in the 90s you were making your head teacher call you that little bitch, I think you were probably doing something right.
Yeah. Go Tammy.
I also have to say, I think in the kind of interrogation scene between Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon,
yes,
where
he's trying to get
knows that it's Tracy,
that's pulled down all the posters,
but she's not admitting it yet.
Yeah,
and he tries to shame her by saying, and I also think that certain young and naive people need to thank their lucky stars and be very grateful that the entire school didn't find out about certain indiscretions that could have ruined their reputations and their chances to win certain elections. Now, what I will say is, you've not like mic dropped in the way that you think you have. If the whole thing that you're talking about is it's going to ruin your reputation. Because I think a woman's life begins when her reputation first gets ruined.
Leigh. What the fuck, man?
That's when you become iconic as a woman. Is when your reputation first gets destroyed. It's your origin story.
Okay, so what we've found is the chapter 1 of the book. Your TED talk.
Perfect.
That's one of the most insightful things you've ever said.
Oh, thank you.
And you say so
Lots
many
of
smart
insightful
things
things.
all the
Thank you.
time. You're so smart and clever
Thank
and wise
you.
and beautiful. Wow. But you're so right. I was going to say, if we look back at the women through history, and then I was going to talk about Taylor Swift immediately. Fuck. Okay. My man, I feel like a man, was when Paul and Tammy's mum and dad are telling Tammy that she has to go to Catholic school, and their dad, who's like this big gruff, like cement magnet, is like, maybe the nuns will straighten her out. And I was like, that's the best joke of the whole film.
Yeah.
I don't know that the nuns have ever straightened anybody out. I think if anything, most nuns themselves
Are queer women in some way.
Repressed lesbians
100%.
who are like, oh, I could not be allowed to marry a man and live in a kind of coven-esque situation with other intense women for the rest of my life. Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, and no one's going to ask questions as to why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because Jesus.
There's lots of choral singing. We get to read books, craft.
Walks.
Just hang out, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for it. Obviously, apart from the like religious aspect, which I obviously
abhor.
Yeah. Kind of also just a little bit. I love the whole story. I love the whole trajectory, but it is annoying the thing about if you go to a single sex school, that turns you gay.
Yeah, we do
Because
need to
also
unpick.
it's just like, that's not what happens.
No.
And she might have, in another world, she might have gone to Sacred Heart and all the girls there be like, ew, you're a fucking gay, go away.
Yeah.
Because we're all straight. However, we choose to believe that she went and had the time of her life at Sacred Heart.
We're indulging in the stereotype whilst acknowledging that it is perhaps sometimes a harmful stereotype.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
And finally, Christopher, your moment that made you proudest to be an American.
And this is just like any interpretation.
Yes.
Okay. I just love the surname Novotny. You just don't hear that on this side of the pond.
No.
And Novotny.
It's a hot surname.
Novotny in an English accent is just not it.
Novotny.
So I just love Novotny.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something incredibly special that we need to maintain the Novotny line.
Yeah.
So anybody
Any Novotnys out there?
in listening, keep it alive. And I feel so I lived in the States for 2 years. I had my 6th and 7th birthday, and going to the States in the 90s, I don't ever remember having a cupcake.
Mm.
Like, I just don't remember that being something we had
No.
around then. We had like other cakes, obviously, and other bits.
Like a little fairy
but like
cake.
a
Yeah.
cupcake,
With the
it was
icing.
different.
No.
And then seeing those homemade chocolate cupcakes with like the pick flick on. I remember going to America and being like, oh, this is like a cupcake, like just felt so American. And then obviously now, like, it's, you know, they're not like only native to American lands. But I just remember going to America and being like, I've never called it this before. I've never seen one in this style. So anyway, Tracy Flick at the end presenting the 400 cupcakes that she'd baked and presented for her final day of campaigning.
Yeah.
Also,
just made me
Pick
feel
Flick.
Pick
Like,
Flick.
she was the only one at the end of the day with a cohesive campaign.
Yeah.
Fully, yeah.
Pick flick.
So that was something American
that.
culture that I kind of
Love that.
found quite good to hold on to.
Type A American girls and their baking. It's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to have to go with Tracy's rejoinder to
When he's shaming her.
when he's shaming her, which is, and I think certain older people like you and your colleague shouldn't be leching after their students, especially when some of them can't even get their own wives pregnant. And they certainly shouldn't be making slanderous accusations, especially when certain young, naive people's mothers are paralegal secretaries in the city's biggest law firm and have won many successful lawsuits. And if you want to keep questioning me like this, I won't continue without my attorney present. My lazy eye did go in at that while I was reading
That's
that,
okay,
but that's
but
fine.
that's passionate.
Yeah.
I just, the fact that he thinks he's going to be able to intimidate her
Mm.
and she is in no way scared of him. I just love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does make me feel proud.
Also invoking your mother as a paralegal secretary. It's
Yeah.
just iconic.
Yeah.
Like, and by the way, do you know who my mum is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I've
love
got
that.
an arsenal.
Yeah.
She's a paralegal.
Mhm.
So also her being like, you can't even get your wife pregnant. I mean, low blow.
Yeah.
But also
Mm.
I like that she's like, oh, you think that I won't go there?
Mhm.
I will.
How does she know? We don't know how she knows.
I think
Dave must have told her. Okay, that makes
and her being like,
Fully
maybe you
sense.
don't know
that
how
I
much
know.
I know about your life.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
teenage girls are the smartest human beings
Don't
on this
underestimate
planet.
them. Don't underestimate them.
Also, I found out, which is incredibly cool, that my teenage cousin and her friend listen to our podcast because they're doing an American politics module and they say that we are much more entertaining than their teacher. And I have never felt cooler.
Wow. That's amazing.
a huge compliment.
It's a huge compliment.
Hey, everyone listening.
That also makes
Hi.
me proud to be American.
Yes.
Amazing.
You guys are changing lives.
Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok, Christopher Hall with an X instead of the I.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on the Stay Hydrated podcast, a podcast I have with my little sister Elizabeth Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And can I do some live
Yes,
dates?
yes.
Mhm.
If you'd like, I'm doing some stand-up shows. If you like stand-up, I
Mhm.
don't know if that's something that people like. Manchester, we have a show on the
Mhm.
12th of June. Myself and Leigh, with Sophie Garrett, who I believe is also
Yes.
on the podcast
Mhm.
at some point, and Kira O'Connor. And then in July, I'm in Brighton on the 13th of July with Sophie
Lovely.
Garrett as well.
And while we are up in Edinburgh doing our show, Rotas, you are also going to be up in Edinburgh for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. The 11th to the second 2 weeks, the 11th to the 24th, I'll be doing a work in progress up in Edinburgh. So it'd be lovely to see some of the
Amazing.
queer galleys.
Mhm.
What's the listener collective
Yeah.
called?
We don't do we know who
We don't know.
we don't know.
Listeners, please make suggestions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the queer
yeah.
galley listeners.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely to see you. But thank you so much for having me.
It's
Yeah.
been a
Yes.
treat.
And I'm so glad we rewatched such an important piece of cinema.
It's now in the roster
Yeah.
to like be
Absolutely.
rewatched.
It's one of those films that I've seen the poster for years and never actually watched.
Yeah.
So was this your first time watching it as
Yeah.
well? Oh, amazing.
That's why I was so shocked by the lesbianism.
Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten it, to be fair.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so glad that this is both a fresh viewing for you two.
Yeah, thank
Wait,
you.
Fee, did we have your proudest to be an American moment?
We didn't, but I was like, yours was so emphatic and beautiful. I didn't want to crush it. Mine was for a side character called Larry, who was one of the adjudicators of the election, who was counting all the votes. And he was like, Tracy's won it by 2 votes, or even by 1 vote. And then Matthew Broderick crushes the votes and throws them away. So
and
that
Larry's
Paul wins.
like, emphatic.
And Larry's like, no, I counted it right. And then after Mr. M has been fired from the school for rigging the election results, he is driving and stops at like a crossways, and Larry stops his car next to him, just winds down his window and spits at Mr. M's car. And I was like, that made me fucking proud.
Yeah.
Because Larry's like, don't you mess with the electoral process.
Truly. Yeah.
This is what holds this country together. Democracy.
Yeah.
And that, for me, I was like, there's nothing more American than it.
Love it. Thank you all so much for listening. We are going to be back next week with another movie episode. Next week, we are going to be watching What a Girl Wants, starring Amanda Bynes.
It's a romp.
Some may say in no way related to politics, but I will have you know Colin Firth is running for office.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a connection.
There is a connection. And also, I think just a lovely jumping off point for discussion. An important
Totally.
film, some might say.
Very. All these films are.
We, as ever, are at Queer Gals Watch.
And queergalswatch@gmail.com. Please do email us. Let us know what you would like us to discuss.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.